This video is going to show you exactly how to design a customer snapshot inside of HighLevel so you can preload it into all of your customer accounts. So stick around. Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel where I'm documenting my journey from 200 SaaS customers to 2,000 SaaS customers on my white label of HighLevel. And since I've started documenting my journey here on YouTube, I've actually spoken to a lot of you and I've had a lot of really good conversations. But one thing that stood out to me was that a lot of the people that I talked to don't load any kind of snapshot or pre-done framework into any of their HighLevel client accounts. And this is a huge mistake that's costing a lot of money and causing you a lot of churn. When you first started using HighLevel, the entire account was completely blank and you had to build every single thing from scratch. Or you probably went into the marketplace, you found somebody with a snapshot and used their snapshot as a starting point. And your customers and your clients are going to be going through the exact same process, except they won't know that they can go out and buy a snapshot from somebody else. So what's going to happen is if somebody buys your version of HighLevel and they get a blank account and they really don't know where to start, they're probably going to get overwhelmed and they're probably going to cancel their account. So what you need to do is you actually need to draw out a specific framework that solves a specific problem for your ideal customer and preload that into every account. So they just have to basically fill in the blanks and bring their business into your framework. And to show you how to do that and how to map it all out, I'm actually going to show you one of the lessons from my free HighLevel course, Kick Some SaaS. If you like what you see, there's going to be a link in the description to grab the entire course 100% free. And having said that, let's cut to the lesson and I will see you on the other side. Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the program. In this video, we're going to be talking about designing your very own HighLevel snapshot that's going to get loaded into your client sub-accounts. Now, in the program, I provided you with two choices, either a coach and course creator snapshot or a home services snapshot. But in the long term, the best solution is going to be for you to come up with your own proprietary framework to sell to your customers and actually load into their accounts. But I provided your choice of those two snapshots as a bonus for using my HighLevel affiliate link to get you started in the short term. Having said that, let's jump right into designing your very own snapshot. And before we jump into actually what should be included, there's a couple of guiding principles that I use whenever I design a snapshot of my own. And this is kind of how I think, and this is what's going to guide most all of my decisions when it comes into what's included, what workflow do I build, and how do I design it around the different custom values that we're going to need. So number one is going to be the singular focus. So basically, what is the one goal that everything in the snap is going to move towards? For instance, if you were building a snapshot for a salesperson or an insurance agent, in that business, everything drives towards getting an appointment and selling a policy of some sort. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to build your whole snapshot around booking appointments, appointment reminders, and getting people to show up to those appointments because that's actually where the sale takes place. That would be different than if you're building an e-commerce snapshot, because what happens in those snapshots is the sale takes place online, typically without any kind of human interaction. So in that snapshot, all of your singular focus would be driving people to the checkout page with something in their cart. And that's why before you sit down and build a snapshot, think about who your snap is for and then what it's trying to do. And that can kind of guide a lot of your decision making toward one specific goal in the snap. And the next thing we want to do is we actually want to minimize the time to value. That's what TTV means. What we want to do is we want to actually minimize the time from when somebody signs up to our white label to the time when they think to themselves, oh, this is worth it. I got my money's worth from this. We ideally want that to happen within 24 to 48 hours because if we can do that, they're probably going to stick long term. And the final thing I like to consider when building my snapshots, are there any popular app integrations that we have to work around? Now, I don't do this a whole lot, but I know there's a lot of people in the HighLevel community who work around the MLS system for real estate snapshots, people who do car dealer snapshots. There's certain inventory management systems so they can pull all of the inventory from their dealer CRM into the website. And if there's anything like that in the industry that you're building for, be conscious of that and understand what needs to happen in order for HighLevel to talk to whatever app that you're trying to integrate for. You want to build this so that it plays well with the other integrations in the industry. And to kind of break this down further, let's talk about the singular focus. Okay, number one, what is the core product? I kind of briefly touched on this there before, but what is the main thing that we're trying to sell with the snapshot? In some of the white collar professional services, it's basically appointments and it's time on a calendar booked. If you're a retail e-commerce store, it's going to be retail and physical inventory. And even if it's a blue collar business, really what you're selling is you're selling work, you're selling a service, you're selling time booked on a calendar in terms of how you would think about it in your HighLevel. So that's the thing that you want to, again, identify what's the core product, what's the main thing that you're trying to sell with the snapshot. Next is going to be, how is it delivered? When somebody buys the product that you're selling, what needs to take place and in what order? Again, if we're in something white collar professional services, we're selling a consultation, and after the consultation takes place and someone becomes a client, there's probably going to be some documents that we have to actually collect. There's going to be some information we have to get from the client to get them entered into the system. And same thing if we're selling home service work. Once a home service job gets sold, we have to then schedule the work to actually go ahead and be performed and give reminders to the homeowner that we're going to be on our way. And here's a big one I think about is, do people buy multiples? Okay. Can one person buy multiple units? And if they're buying multiple units, are these going to be big involved purchases like a house or a car? This is what generally drives my decision whether or not to allow multiple opportunities. For instance, if you were building a car dealer snapshot, it's not uncommon for people to have 2 concurrent car purchases at the same time. So that would have 1 contact, but 2 opportunities. Now, it also happens in real estate where people are buying 2 houses at the same time, but it doesn't happen that often. But I would probably build that functionality in anyway, because it is possible that somebody could have 2 big deals that require 2 sets of notes and 2 sets of documentation to be attached to 2 separate purchases. If you're selling something small, something low ticket like t-shirts or different e-commerce products, you can probably get away with 1 person, 1 opportunity with multiple purchases because it's just a line item. There's not actual 2 sets of documents that have to go with 2 different t-shirt purchases, for instance. So in a snapshot like that, I would disallow multiple opportunities when I'm building my snapshot. And now to help minimize the TTV, the time to value for your customer, we want to think about what are some of the things that your customer is going to have to do within the first 24 hours of actually importing this snapshot into their HighLevel account or their white label of your HighLevel. What needs to happen in the first 24 hours, and how can we make that easy and convenient for them? Next, we have to figure out how can we get this person able to capture new leads ASAP. This could be a simple opt-in lead funnel where it's just a simple sign-up page, something as simple as a newsletter where there's no real product to build. It's just, here, sign up for a newsletter and I'll email you periodically. If we can get them a simple 2-step opt-in funnel up and live inside of 24 hours, they're going to start having new business flow into their HighLevel white label of yours, and they're going to feel that they got value from your platform very quickly. And then once that's done, we want to actually talk about the migration steps. So think about your average customer that comes in. What kind of business do they have? What software stack are they usually using when they come into your business? And think about how their existing customer lists and all of their processes are going to come into your snapshot. And then talking about the app integrations, again, this is very popular in the real estate and the car space. What popular apps and external tools are within the niche, and how do we work with those tools rather than against those tools? And first off, you need to know the niche and also know HighLevel's limitations, what it can and cannot do. There are certain things that HighLevel cannot do or HighLevel does not do currently, as well as another piece of software. So what you want to do to help not have as much friction with your clients, work with those softwares, identify what they are, and then basically build in connections for those popular apps. Again, with real estate, this is very popular that you have to actually connect with the MLS somehow so that all of the realtors' listings can come onto the HighLevel website. And number 2, speaking about moving data between, say, something like the MLS, you need to know when the data moves. Okay, when do you have to pass data to the software, and what does it need to pass? So something like the MLS, you're going to have to pass listings in real time as they go under contract, as they get listed, as they get sold. And that generally is going to happen with a third-party software. But this also works with dispatching work. Are they using something like Service Titan that's going to dispatch work? What data has to move from HighLevel over to Service Titan? And then when Service Titan has to pass data back to HighLevel, think about when all of that information has to take place and what has to get transferred. This is going to help you when you go and sit down to build your automations. You actually know what data you're looking for when you go ahead to try and build. And lastly, I want you to be conscious of how you're going to sync with all of these other popular apps. Can you do a direct API integration and bypass a software in a separate subscription like Zapier or Integrately or Make? Or is this something that's going to require a solution like that and incur an extra monthly cost? That's something, no, again, when you're building your snapshot, it's going to help you when it comes time to write all your documentation, how you can actually sync with the popular integrations in the app. And then once you're thinking correctly and you kind of have all of your criteria for your snap written out and you have it all identified, there's 4 things that are going to be in every single snap that you make, no matter what industry you're building in. Number 1 is going to be a website. Unless you're doing something that is really robust on WordPress, generally a HighLevel website is going to be part of the snapshot. And we do that for the purposes of lead gen. We want to give them a page that they can drive their customers to actually capture a lead and send it into the CRM. Speaking of CRM, we're going to come here into the pipeline. You're going to build at least one pipeline in every single snap that you go ahead and build because it does a couple of things. Number one, it organizes all of the data coming in into a single screen, and it's a format that's easy for your customer to understand. Number two is that a lot of HighLevel's dashboard reporting is built around the pipeline stats. So if you can take all of the data flowing in, all the leads and all the emails and everything flowing into your system and somehow get them to visualize inside of a pipeline, it's going to make reporting easy. And it's also going to be able to allow you to build a custom dashboard that displays all of the relevant data. And as you build a list, you're going to want to keep your list clean. So what you're also going to do, since HighLevel does not have any built-in DNDs or unsubscribe automations, you're going to build a couple of rudimentary, super basic list cleaning automations into your Snap to make sure that when somebody hits the spam or someone hits the unsubscribe, it automatically DNDs that particular customer. You're also going to want to tag the people who actively click the emails so that you can segment your list and then send hot offers to hot customers who have already clicked an email in the past. And lastly, this is going to be an assumption of success. When your customers install your snapshot into their business, you're assuming that they're going to have a lot of new business. And not every new customer is problem-free. So what you want to do is you actually want to give them a help desk of some sort so they can manage all of their customer support and all the new business that comes in. They can actually manage all of the people who have issues and they can keep everything organized. So we're going to give them some sort of help desk so they can help with fulfillment. Now, when you go ahead and build a website, there's a couple of required website pages. You can build pages, hundreds of pages on a website, but you really only need a couple. If you do absolutely nothing else, include these pages in your website. Number one is going to be the home page. I put it here, I say, duh, this is the main landing page for the website and acts as the hero of the website. So you have to have a home page because you want to tell people to go to my website, give them a domain, they have to land somewhere. So on your homepage, it's going to tell the basics about the company, who they are, what they do, who they serve, and it's going to kind of act, again, as a central hub, a central landing page where everything else is going to branch off from. You can even treat this like a landing page and a lead capture page as well. And then in addition to the central homepage, you need to have a couple of compliance pages. Your privacy policy, your terms of service are an absolute must if you want to get A2P verified, but also if you want payment processors to actually side with you on certain disputes, if customers start disputing charges. You need to have a privacy policy, you need to have terms of service, and it's also a requirement to actually have a website is to have those two pages. If you don't put all your contact information in the footer of all your pages, that's something that I do. But if you don't want to put all your contact information in all the footers, you're actually required to have a contact us page because people want to know and payment processors want to know who this business is, right? Who's behind it? How do I contact them if there's a problem? Have a contact us page. And then if you're in any industry that requires a disclaimer, you need to have, if you're in a financial industry or your real estate or some other controlled industry that requires disclaimers and requires disclosures, you have to have a page with all of those disclaimers and disclosures on it that's easily accessible from somewhere like the footer. And then after that, really, it's really a couple nice to have pages that are going to help your website perform better, but they're by no means required. As long as you have a home page and you've got some compliance pages, your website is, as they say, good enough. But what these nice to have pages are going to do is they're going to help your website perform a little bit better. First one here are lead gen pages. These are pages that you're going to drive targeted traffic to either through an ad or through organic content that have the express purpose of capturing someone's information and getting a lead. These could be recorded demonstrations of your work, recorded demonstrations of software. It could be before and after showcases if you're selling something like home service. Have a huge gallery of your work before and after. You could showcase customer reviews, calendar booking pages, literally just a page with a calendar that says book an estimate, book an appointment. You can have those as well. Really, again, all of these pages have the express purpose of wowing somebody and then making them submit their information to either set an appointment or receive something by email. That's the express intent of these pages. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, I call these immersion pages because these pages do not have the express intent of capturing a lead and converting the customer right now, but they rather give your customer somewhere that they can just kind of hang out, become immersed in the content, getting to know, like, and trust your customer and your customer's business, or even you and your business. These are pages like content hubs. So if you have a page on your website with nothing but helpful content, whether that be tutorials whether that be onboarding videos, something that's publicly, that's not behind an opt-in wall, where someone can just go in and watch a couple minutes of content and get some value out of it for free. You can have an About Us page. An About Us page that tells the story of the brand, tells the story of the business, who you serve, who it's for. Have someone spend some time on that page reading essentially what is a blog post. Or you can use a blog. A blog is a great way to have someone get immersed in content and just spend a couple minutes there gaining that know, like, and trust. Info pages are also kind of like blog posts. They're just going to be pages designed so that your customer, your website visitor, can spend time on there and build the know, like, and trust with the business before hopefully flipping over to one of those lead gen pages and converting into a sale. And the last grouping of pages that I like to either include or not include inside of a website are what I call shopping pages. These are sometimes, I call them browse pages, which basically it's just a listing of all the inventory. If you have an e-commerce brand, it's basically that wall of products where you can just browse the products and click into all the different listings. Having that there, e-commerce catalogs are a good one. If you have a car dealer website, there's this inventory search page. Realtors have the MLS page, basically where the customer can window shop in the business digitally. And then if you have a local business, I have what's called get found pages on the websites. And lastly, you're going to have what I call get found pages. These pages are meant to get found on local SEO searches. So when somebody goes in and types roofer near me or roofer in Bensalem, Pennsylvania, you're going to have a very super simple page that talks about your company, who is a roofer in Bensalem. Like the title of the page would literally be Best Roofer in Bensalem, your company name, and then like you're talking about your company name has been a roofer in Bensalem for 25 years, blah, 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 right? You would have a lot of keyword. You're almost to the point where you're keyword stuffing a page, but not really, because you're actually going to provide a little bit of information. But you're going to create one of these little simple get found pages and optimize them for pretty much every town that your local business serves. So these are basically going to be the page that gets found, again, local SEO. Someone clicks, they land on that page, and it might not be exactly what they're looking for, but now they're on your website and they're going to click to another page in the website if that page looks good and gives them just enough information for them to click through to the next page. So that just about does it with websites. Moving on now to customer pipelines. Again, there's a couple things that you want to have inside your customer pipeline, because this is going to be how they're going to track leads and sales. And to design your sales pipeline, you want to think about what are the stages in your customer sales process. What are the KPIs and what are the KPIs that they need to track? Because what that's going to do is the milestones in the sales process are going to determine all the different little columns in your pipeline that you go ahead and build. For instance, if you were in one of a white collar professional services niche, you would have something like appointment booked, appointment showed, appointment no showed, follow-up needed, hot customer. You would have needs onboarding, onboarded documents. Think about all the things in that particular sales process that would need to happen and all the different statuses that a customer could fall into, and those all become your columns in the pipeline itself. And then when it comes to building support pipelines, this is going to be a little bit simpler than a sales pipeline, because there really aren't that many milestones in a support pipeline, at least what I've found. Typically, a support pipeline is going to be 3 columns. It's going to be ticket received, working on ticket, and then ticket resolved. And if you want to have a 4th one that needs escalation, that's fine too. But that's really all you're going to have on it when it comes to a support pipeline. What's the customer support process? And is there an escalation SOP? Moving on to list cleaning. Unfortunately, at the time I'm recording this, HighLevel does not include list cleaning automations out of the box. So we're going to have to build a couple of them by ourselves. And the first one is your email health list cleaning automations. Unsubscribe and do not disturb. It's a simple one-step automation where if someone clicks the unsubscribe link, you put them on do not disturb. And then same thing, someone clicks an email, you add a tag for clicked. Same thing for spam complaints. Someone clicks spam, you tag them as spam and hit them on do not disturb. And those simple little automations, they're one step. There's probably 3 or 4 of them. Stick them in a folder, and I never really look at them again. And then sold tagging. You don't want to be sending marketing messages and sales messaging to people who have already given your customer money. So what you're going to do is I keep a little folder in my snapshots called sold tagging. And basically whatever the condition is that somebody becomes a customer, that happens, and it adds a little tag that says sold and whatever the name of the product is as well. It's really, really simple. But again, it just helps sort your list and segment your list from people who were sold versus people who are still just prospects. And then finally, when building a help desk for your customer, there's a couple of things that you want to include. Number 1 is a main help page. You're typically going to put this at support.yourdomain.com or yourdomain.com/help. No right or wrong answer there. But basically, it's a home page for all of the support options and then explains all of the support options and then provides links to all those different options. If you're selling high-level SaaS, it's going to have links to your support talks, have links to your submitted ticket, have links to your chat, have links to, again, a knowledge base. Whatever levels of support that you have, it's going to basically provide as a hub for all of those support options. And at the very least, if your customer doesn't have any kind of live chat or phone support, you want to at least build them a simple ticket system, which is a high-level pipeline and email notifications attached, which again is a three-step pipeline. It's ticket submitted, work in progress, ticket resolved. That's it. And then you just want to build notifications that go out to each person to let them know when the step has been updated. And like I talked about before, we want to actually maximize our time to value, or minimize our time to value, I should say. So you want to include these with your snapshot to have people amazed with its performance. Number one, you want to include some kind of a lead funnel. And again, the purpose of this is that it gives your customer, it gives your client a way to start directing all of their incoming traffic into your high-level white label ASAP. So a simple newsletter opt-in gives them something that they can get up and running in a single afternoon, and they can start driving new business and new traffic into the CRM. Database reactivation is another big thing I like to include in a lot of my snapshots. If I'm selling to somebody who has an established business and an established customer list, the biggest thing that you can do is get them sales right away. So what I'll do is I'll actually create a simple database reactivation campaign inside, make it an automation. And then what I'll do is I'll instruct my customer to import their list onto my high-level white label. You're getting them further entrenched in the system, and then run their existing customer list through the database reactivation and let the automation take over and either book appointments or sell things via e-commerce. If you can get this to happen within the first 48 hours, your customer is going to love you for life because they're seeing an immediate return on their investment as soon as they come in. And all they had to do was bring over their list and run them through an automation that you already built. So if you can build in some sort of database reactivation into your snapshot, it leads to a really quick win for your customer. And the last thing I want you to build into all of your snapshots to help minimize the time to value is a lead pipeline with built-in notifications. And the reason for that is that even if you're in an industry that has a very long sales cycle, like for instance, real estate, it could take 30 to 90 days for deals to close. But if you have a lead pipeline with notifications, you can give your customer that dopamine shot every single time they generate a lead that goes into your system. You can have them, those little notifications that, hey, you have a new lead, you have a new lead, you have a new lead. That's going to make them feel that they're getting their money out of the system before they might even make a sale. All right, and to bring things back up to a high level, no pun intended, this is actually my top-down snapshot process. So number one, whenever you're drawing out a snapshot, make sure you literally draw it out either on a whiteboard or on a piece of paper. Draw out, list out what you need, all the components you're going to build inside of HighLevel, and all the processes that you need to create so that when you go in and actually log in, you're not sitting there at a blank screen going, now what? When that's done, what I want you to do when you do start building, build inside of a blank sub-account. Something that I see a lot of mistakes that a lot of high levelers make is they'll start building their snapshot into an account that might have some stuff already pre-built, or it might be their own company account. And when they go to make a snapshot, the customer is going to get the snapshot plus everything that was in that account previously. And then they have to spend some time sorting out what they were supposed to get and what was snapped in there by mistake. So what I do is anytime I design a snapshot, I always build in a completely blank sub account. So there's nothing in that account that isn't supposed to be there. And I'll typically name that account in all caps, snapshot, with a dash in the name of the snapshot. So it's easy to search when I go into my sub account list, but number two, anyone knows that that's a snapshot account and they shouldn't go ahead and touch with it. And number three, when that's done, you want to film robust help documentation. There's nothing worse than getting a really big, robust snap that's designed to do a whole bunch of stuff and having no idea, no instruction manual to come with it. So when you're done building your snap, film a bunch of documentation videos explaining, one, the steps that the customer needs to take to get everything active ASAP, and two, make different videos explaining all the little processes and how they work and what communication is going out and coming in when. This is going to give them an idea of where to start searching when something breaks. And when you're done filming all of that, put it up in a little high-level course area on your own company sub-account and just give them access to that course when they purchase the snapshot or when they buy Or when they buy a subscription to your white label, they get access to all of that documentation for the framework that you've built for them. And then as a final bonus tip, I want you to start thinking like Legos. If you've ever bought a Legos, you know that the Legos from 1996 will interlock perfectly with the Legos of 2024. And the reason they've done that is that they actually have a standardized system of how they connect together. And what you want to do is you want to think like that when you're creating your custom values. When you create your custom values for your snapshot, try to create a standardized system so that if you have a smaller base snapshot and you want to add different snapshots on top, make sure that your bigger snapshots will use the same custom value system as the smaller base one so that they'll integrate seamlessly, and you're basically creating a modular system, and you're basically creating Legos that people can pick and choose different automations. And if they've set up the base, they don't have to do any customization with some of the higher level stuff. It'll just go ahead and bolt right on. It doesn't seem like something that's super important when someone buys the first snapshot, but if you make your second or your third and people purchase 2, 3, or even 4 snapshots from you, it's going to dramatically increase satisfaction on those second and third purchases. And that's it for this lesson. Hopefully you have some more insight into how to think and how to design your own high-level snapshots so that you can start creating snapshots for your customers. I'll see you in the next lesson. And there you have it, how to actually draw up your very own client snapshot to put into your HighLevel account. And if you like that video, again, there's a link for it down in the description to grab the rest of the course absolutely free. And with that said, I will see you in one of these 2 videos here in the corners.